This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Brawl Review here for the 16th day of September 2025 as we roll on here into WrestlePalooza week. And whether you love it or hate it, and you want to get another subscription, well, don't really have much of a choice. Unless, of course, you take Stephanie McMahon's advice and you get yourself a VPN. That way you don't have to get ESPN Plus, but of course you do whatever you need to do. But let's make no mistake here. WrestlePalooza is a big deal for WWE, a big deal for ESPN. So this is something that they're going to put their best foot forward with. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, CM Punk and AJ Lee back together for the first time in 10 years. This is going to be a big deal. And there could be some big implications coming out of this, big returns. I expect quality matches. Even the Brock Lesnar-John Cena matchup, I don't think it's going to be a 5-star classic, but these two are professionals that know how to work. And I think I may be putting the bar a little bit too high with that matchup, more than most, but that matchup I think should exceed expectations because it's two high-profile guys for the last time ever on a debut PLE on a major sports network. You got to deliver. This can't be a Brock Lesnar SummerSlam, whatever it was, 2017, when Brock Lesnar just suplexed the hell out of John Cena and beat him clean, and it was a squash. It can't be that. So I don't think it will be. But I'll start there in a moment with the Brock Lesnar and John Cena matchup, because while my expectations are higher than most, I do have some criticisms, and I'll get to those, as you might expect, if you've listened to me before, in just a moment. But first, welcome to the WWE Podcast. We're here pretty much every single day of the week, whether it's a retro show, a throwback show, whether it's the Raw, SmackDown, mailbag, or your PLE reviews. That'll be coming to you this week. And as I said, if you missed the show yesterday or you need a reminder, I'll be traveling on Friday morning. And I'll be in an airport and then coming back Sunday night. I am not going to be in town. I'm going to try to watch WrestlePalooza as I can, but the events I have going on may prevent me from watching in real time. So I'll be trying to get a review up to you as soon as I possibly can on Sunday. It may even unfortunately be Monday, but hey, stay tuned to X, stay tuned to Patreon, which is where the latest news will be over at patreon.com/WWE podcast if you want to get all of your ad-free content, a Discord server, and much more. So check it out if you want to. Now, one last housekeeping item. You'll notice that my voice doesn't sound as crisp as usual. I'll be getting my new microphone, Pro Mic, tomorrow. So my preview and prediction show for WrestlePalooza will sound a little crisper, clearer, and back to business as usual. So just so you know, I'm still recording on my internal MacBook Pro speakers, but I gotta say, these internal speakers still sound pretty damn good for laptop speakers. So, all right, let's get into it. As I promised, let's talk about Brock Lesnar, John Cena. You know, this may be, and someone can point this out. You guys are much quicker to this information than I am. Whenever I ask, hey, is this the first time ever? Is this, has this ever happened before? You guys are very quick. Like when I asked, hey, is this the first ever married couple versus married couple match? And you guys were very quick to show me, no, it's not. It was Edge and Beth Phoenix who were also in a match and others. So you guys are great with that. But can anybody else recall a big time high profile match that never had the two individuals going face to face in the matchup, have them go face to face on the mic before the match? Has that ever happened ever, where there was never even a promo via satellite, face-to-face, sit-down interview? I don't think there has ever been in the history, and this is my terrible memory, of course, ever been a big, high-profile match where there was not a build using the face-to-face promo in some kind of way. I understand John Cena has been kind of carrying the load for the promos, although it's kind of weird to carry the load for the promo when we don't know the reason behind Brock Lesnar's attack, which of course we won't know and we'll never know because it's... I refuse to give WWE any leeway on that. It's inexcusable garbage storytelling that they can't even give us just any kind of reason, and they don't. It's just like, oh, here you go. Here's the matchup. We don't know why they're fighting. We don't know why Brock Lesnar attacked John Cena, but yeah, here you go. Like, I understand the appeal of it because they're two massive names in wrestling. One of them is retiring in a few months, but like, for the love of God, I will hammer this home because they are not getting off the hook, and I hope you guys don't accept it either, that they can't even give you just a single sentence. I'm not looking for a Brock Lesnar knock it out of the park promo. He's not built for that. That's not who Brock Lesnar is. But for the love of God, give us some kind of justification from Brock as to why he did what he did. It's inexcusable garbage storytelling. That said, this week we had John Cena out there, and he's saying, I've got 7 dates or 6 dates, and it's the thank you Cenas, and it's the usual stuff we've been seeing, and the crowd just showering their love for John Cena, which we knew would happen, and it's deserving, and all the rest of it, and it's going to continue for the next 6 or 7 appearances, whatever it is now, all the way through December 13th, which will be his final match. I still hope it's Edge, in somehow, some way, some alternate universe, it's Edge. We'll see if a miracle can be pulled off, but that said, John Cena here, I think, didn't know what to say. He was just like, oh, am I scared of Brock? Yup. Am I going to get beat up? Yup. Am I going to give up? No. Well, I'll see you on Saturday. I mean, but what else could he say? I mean, it was just kind of some kind of promo from John. You get to hear from John. We get to see him one last time, in whatever city he's in, and it's fine. It's fine. And then, no Brock Lesnar appearance. But it's going to be interesting to see what the outcome of this match is, because Brock Lesnar has got the better of John Cena the last 2 times that Brock has been in the same space as John Cena. Brock Lesnar has F5 John Cena. So we'll see if John is able to overcome Brock. There is an argument to be made for both sides. This is a very difficult match to call. My official predictions, as I said, are going to be coming in a day or two. So keep on a lookout for that. But I will say that it is a very difficult match to call when it comes to outcome and why Brock should win or why John should win. Even though it's John's leaving, and should he do the favors? But Brock Lesnar is not somebody you need to do a favor for. Brock Lesnar is not an up-and-coming talent. Brock Lesnar is kind of in the same position John Cena's in. Even though he's not on his retirement tour, he could go at any moment. I mean, and if you're trying to build Brock up for whoever he's going to face next, then you probably do want Brock to win. But if you want John Cena to go out on a high note and not look like he's going to lose every match and do the favors for everybody, then you got to have John win. It's a polarizing, it's definitely a polarizing program or decision to be made when it comes to the outcome of that match. I do expect this match to not be a Goldberg special. I do expect it to be 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes, dare I say, because you can't have this match not go more than 10. They're capable of it. We know they are. I don't want to hear it. They're not limited on movesets. Brock Lesnar is still an animal. John Cena is still a ring general. They can stretch it out to 20 minutes if they really want. But we'll see. We'll see. And my official predictions are coming. Now, let's just start here at the beginning. We'll start at the beginning, as we always do sometimes. And the beginning of Raw, which, let me get the location here. It was in Springfield, Massachusetts. Lively crowd. And we had Jimmy and Jey shown walking backstage. LA Knight entered the picture, shoved Jey. GM Adam Pearce and a couple of refs joined Jimmy in pulling them apart. Pearce ordered that Jey and Knight go to his office and threatening to fine them. Joe Tessitore was on commentary with Corey Graves, and John Cena comes out. And he stood on stage and said The Simpsons live in Springfield and said it was time to go to work, as he does. And then he runs to the ring. And he recalled playing football at Springfield College, the offensive line. He never made the newspaper. He said, as an offensive lineman, you get your ass kicked and then come back the next day and get your ass kicked again. He said he had teammates in the venue, and he had a niece, Ashlyn, who couldn't make it because it was her birthday, and he wished her a happy birthday and said, everyone in Springfield wish her a happy birthday, blah. Okay, sorry. I mean, this is all just... I love John. We will miss him, but this is getting a little bit long in the tooth with the same old stuff. The kind of like, oh, how many times are we supposed to bow at the feet and throw roses at John Cena? It's a well-deserved career, but this is, it's 6 more appearances. So I'm not complaining, but in the moment, as a human being that will eventually regret what I'm saying because we're going to miss John Cena, in the moment, it is a bit repetitive. So he talked about having a tough hill to climb, and as I said, he asked if he's afraid of Lesnar. I already went through that. And it was as good of a promo as you could really muster with no content whatsoever or reasoning for Brock's attack. Probably for the best for Brock Lesnar, though, that John Cena and him don't go face to face. I mean, there probably isn't a more polarizing ability on the mic than Brock Lesnar and John Cena. I mean, he would just lay waste to Brock Lesnar on the mic and completely expose him, which is maybe why they are avoiding this, to make Brock not look like a complete child when it comes to his ability on the mic versus John Cena. He would get embarrassed. But let's continue. So Lyra Valkyria took on Roxanne Perez. Lyra beat Roxanne in 9 minutes and 10 seconds. And the finish was Roxanne hitting a Frankensteiner and then drove her knees onto the back of Valkyria before covering her for a near fall. Perez applied a crossface, and then Valkyria rolled out of it and eventually hoisted up Perez before hitting her with the Nightwing for the finish. And as Valkyria was making her exit, she was attacked by Raquel Rodriguez, who threw her back inside the ring, and then Perez hit Pop Rocks on Valkyria. But that's not the interesting part here. Not the attack from behind, not the Pop Rocks, not Valkyria beating Roxanne Perez. It is Bayley who comes out and beats down Perez and Rodriguez. The fans are behind Bayley here. And Valkyria looked a bit apprehensive. Bayley put her hands on her temples and her demeanor changed. And then Bayley left the ring and hugged the broadcast team members, some fans at ringside. And Valkyria looked confused as she watched from the ring. And, so this is, I guess what they're going with is Bayley having an identity crisis / a bit schizo. I think it's a combination of some kind of, it's like a mix of mental disorders that I think we're supposed to assume Bayley has. She's again, I equate her to the 3 faces of Foley. If, we don't know what version of Bayley we're going to get. It could be the nice one. It could be the ding dong hello. It could be the kind of bland vanilla version that we saw when she returned with Io Sky and Dakota Kai at SummerSlam a few years ago and took out Bianca Belair, if you remember that. That really started the downfall of her career. I guess that's the story we're supposed to so far understand, is that Bayley is a bit conflicted and having an identity crisis and highly moody and schizo with multiple personalities. So does she have a multiple personality disorder? I don't know. Maybe, there's going to be some kind of diagnosis on air or something like that. But I guess that's what we're supposed to go with here, because there's more evidence later in the show that we'll talk about that is, maybe it actually gets worse, not better. But Asuka and Kairi Sane enter, Adam Pearce stood with Stephanie Vaquer. Is it Vaquer or Vacour? I can never remember. Sounds like liqueur. So Stephanie and Io are in his office and indicated that he had each signed the contract for WrestlePalooza for the vacant Women's World Championship. They expressed mutual consent, and Sky said she'd win. Asuka and Kairi entered the room as Stephanie and Sky were shaking hands, and Asuka told Stephanie she won't be ready for Sky. And Vacour told her to get her out of her face. Asuka said since Vacour thought she was so good, she would face Sane. And then Pierce booked the match. All right. So fine. I mean, again, the continued, slow turn of Asuka to back to heel for the 48th time is It's taking a little time. Maybe it'll never happen, but I think that's where they're probably going. Asuka and Kairi right now are more locked at the hip than Asuka and Io Sky are. So you would imagine that the attack is going to come from Asuka on Io Sky, and maybe she'll be the one to cost Io at WrestlePalooza. Although, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself from my predictions. So Penta took on Kofi Kingston with Xavier Woods and Grayson Waller. And this match went 7.5 minutes with Penta beating Kofi Kingston. Penta and Kingston went back and forth with kicks and knee strikes until they both fell to the mat. Penta got to his feet first and went for his finish. Woods climbed down the apron, distracted the ref while Waller entered the ring. Penta super kicked Waller, and then Penta jumped off the middle rope, hit Kingston with a springboard Mexican Destroyer for the victory. And that's kind of it. Penta beats Kofi Kingston. And hey, you're thinking maybe it's going to lead to Rey Fenix coming in to help, coming to Raw to help his brother. I mean, I don't know what this is leading to. It just feels like just kind of a match. I don't know, again, what this is supposed to mean for Penta, for Kofi or Xavier. I'm not really sure. This is something that is just kind of, it feels like a time fill. And I hate to say that because all three of these men are talented. I still am waiting for an Xavier Woods breakout, much like I'm waiting for a Montez Ford breakout, because both are more than capable and are just, the life is being sucked out of them in a tag team and have been for many years. But Penta, for as hot as he was coming into the company, has, again, he's beating Kofi Kingston, but that's not really no disrespect to Kofi on a professional level, but look, beating Kofi Kingston at this stage in his career for what he means to Raw right now is not something you want to put on your resume to boast about. I mean, it's just a fact. So, I'm just down on it because it doesn't feel like this is leading to anything big. It doesn't feel like there's a story. It feels more like filler, and I want this to mean more. I want Xavier especially, I will continue to advocate for it, to break out. I mean, the New Day turn heel. Never thought you'd see it. They're hot, and then they just fizzle. There's no payoff whatsoever for the New Day turning heel. You ever notice that too? Are we all supposed to just forget how hot they were turning on Big E? No Big E return, no Big E in the Royal Rumble, no Big E at WrestleMania. They just, we're heels and we're going to go away now. This is the kind of stuff that bugs the crap out of me because you see so much potential, so much momentum, and then there's no destination and you're like, oh, well, okay, what was all that for? And you see that sometimes and it irks me. I don't know how you guys feel. All right. So Jimmy Uso approached LA Knight and asked if he was still looking for a partner. Knight said he didn't want to put Jimmy in a bad position, and he told Knight he was in. We had Seth and Becky come out. This was a long segment. This was like 30 minutes long of a promo segment. So I'll paraphrase a bit. And we had Punk, again, this segment had a theme, and I know some of you are going to be like, oh, here he goes. Here's the theme. The theme is emasculation. And it doesn't mean that, that the men are better, that men generally are better, or, there's some kind of patriarchy. I support the patriarchy, which again, patriarchy to me is a myth. But that aside, having CM Punk, inarguably a Hall of Fame inductee into WWE, arguably one of the best of all time, introduces himself as AJ's husband. And that's a very male feminist thing to do. I'll leave it at there, and I won't say anything else, but it wasn't my favorite. So, yes, here I go, guys. For those of you like, oh, here he goes again. Yeah, well, this is how I feel. I give it to you guys straight. I'm a big fan of truth. I'm a big fan of not sugarcoating stuff, and that's how I see it. This is a sign of the times, particularly if you're on his side of the aisle of beliefs and things. But that's probably a topic for another show. Anyway, here we go. For those that want to go back to wrestling, Punk asked Rollins and Lynch who their team leader was. Punk said he didn't need to speak behind Lynch's back. He just didn't know what to say. And he said, "Look at you goofs." And he's referring to what they're wearing with some kind of leather-clad stumps, something or other. And he said he had to listen to 2 crappy songs while Rollins and Lynch made their entrances. And he had no problem putting Cult of Personality on the shelf in favor of his wife's theme song. Again, remember my theme for the night. It will get much worse. And yes, this is my takeaway from this whole thing. Yes, I understand it's a wrestling match, but this part of it is overwhelmingly distracting. And I think it needs to be eradicated, if I could. And I'll get to it a little bit more. Punk asked if Rollins and Lynch would get their egos get in the way at WrestlePalooza. And, Rollins said Punk is the most selfish human being he's ever met. A "shut the F up" chant broke out and was censored, of course. At least it was in the, on the rerun. I didn't watch it live, but it was censored. Live, apparently, it was not censored. And Rollins said he would give Punk credit and pointed to Lee and said she was the best decision Punk ever made. Again, propping up the women while the men cower. This continues. The theme continues. It's ridiculous. So Rollins emphasized that he was only talking about Punk's personal life. He said Punk would regret introducing Lee to their feud for the rest of his days. Hopefully that's a foreshadowing for something. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And Lee said Rollins brought her back when he used his wife as a human shield. And Lee thanked Lynch for reading her book. She said, "I did not read yours." That was a good line. She said Lynch was right. She doesn't know how her neck would hold up, and that she won 2 titles despite her damaged neck, and said Lynch should be worried that she doesn't know what she'll do next. And AJ conceded that she was erratic and said you can't plan for something she can't predict. I wish that AJ had said here that, if you remember, I'm a little erratic. I'm a little unpredictable. I'm a little crazy. I wish she had brought the crazy word back because, hell, that's the name of her book. That's what was part of what made her endearing with the AJ. Remember, she was dating AJ, Daniel Bryan and Kane, and when someone called her crazy, that set her off. Why couldn't they? That would have been a perfect setup. So I think it was just an oversight. I think she should bring back the crazy train. That's what made her really kind of endearing and appealing and fun. It's a really fun part of her personality. So I was waiting for the line. I'm like, you were so close. You were so close. But still a solid rebuttal from AJ. And Rollins laughed at AJ while asking if she really thought he couldn't handle her. And he said, quote, "Listen, little girl, you're not wrong. I may not be able to predict you, but your husband, I can read him like a book. And let me tell you something. You may not know what to believe about your husband. He has a nasty habit of leaving when things let him down. So this Saturday, when my wife rips you into shreds, you better hope to God that he doesn't leave you too." And that's when things go south, as they have been going south for many years. It's getting worse over the years, with the women just emasculating the men. And AJ Lee slaps Rollins across the face, and of course he has to say the company line of he'd never put his hands on a lady, but thankfully he had someone who would. And there was apparently a miscommunication from Lynch and Rollins. Lynch didn't step up, and Rollins ended up pie-facing Punk, chased him out of the ring. Lynch returned to the ring and hit AJ with a manhandle slam, and Punk knelt and was slapped across the face by Becky Lynch, who left the ring and laughed with Rollins as they made out. So, beyond what I'm going to say here, because this is about more real stuff than pro wrestling stuff, but unfortunately, culture is bleeding into reality here, and it bothers me. And other than that, I think it was a solid segment, a little bit long in the tooth, but a nice setup. Nice setup. These 4 seem to work well together. There seems to be some good chemistry, and it's a highly anticipated match. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So I'll give everybody credit where it's due in that promo, and that everybody seemed to play their part well. Now, for the part that, again, I'm going to talk about because it deserves to be talked about, and I'm not going to ignore it because it happens more. I'm not going to get desensitized and used to it, and it's not going to be normalized in my mind. It will not be, because the fact that we have to continue to sit and watch women just beat the shit out of men, slap them in the face, hit them in the nuts, do whatever they want to do because they're women. We're all supposed to just go, oh, well, she's a woman. I guess that means she's immune from any retaliation. No. Here's what should happen. First of all, if this was reality, I mean, of course, the law is on your side. You have a right to self-defense. And if somebody who's a lot weaker than you attacks you, and I'm not talking about children, I'm talking about somebody, your age or older, you have the right to defend yourself regardless of they're a man or a woman. All right? So like the actual law is on your side. But even in pro wrestling world, that makes it even worse. Because in a fantasy land, you're not even able to pretend to defend yourself against women. Right? That's like twice as bad. And it emasculates these men who are like, no, I'm above this. I wouldn't hit a woman. I'm not going to defend myself. I don't have any pride. The hell with that. I'm going to virtue signal. Instead, I'm going to just stand here and allow myself to be slapped. Yeah, I'm done with that. I've been done with that. I'm not advocating, even in a pro wrestling environment, for men to just randomly attack women. Even in a pro wrestling environment, no, I'm not. Okay? Even though pro wrestling is, of course, a work. But what I am saying is it emasculates the men that have to stand there and take it like Seth, like CM Punk. So here's what I want to happen. In my perfect, perverse world, really normal world, this is what should happen in a normal pro wrestling world here. CM Punk and Seth Rollins should each hit their finishes on their opponents' respective wives at WrestlePalooza. That's what they should do, because both of them deserve it. Becky deserves to get hit with a GTS, and AJ Lee deserves to get hit with a stomp. And I hope both of them get it on Saturday night. I truly do. I know that it's not going to happen, likely. The only one that's even remotely close to likely, because it was seen as incredible heel heat, because, oh my God, Seth Rollins defended himself, is Seth stomping AJ Lee. And I think that could happen at the end of the match. AJ Lee and CM Punk are heavy favorites, and for good reason, and they should probably win. Spoiler alert. But I think at the end of that, to continue the CM Punk and Seth Rollins feud, maybe for the world title, you have AJ Lee, comforting her husband who gets the pinfall. She's in a position to take a stomp, and AJ Lee gets the stomp, and everyone's just in shock. Oh my God. But she deserves every bit of that. I understand that Seth is the heel, but again, in a pro wrestling context, or even in real life, she deserves that. That's self-defense. And throughout this entire match, you're going to see all of the women just do whatever they want, and then the men are going to stand there and have the mean, mad face of, oh, I'm so frustrated. If you weren't a woman, oh, shucks. No, the hell with that. And we're going to have to deal with that. That's the only possible outcome I could see. I know that many of you don't give a damn about this. Many of you just tell me to shut up about it, which, of course, the more you tell me to shut up about something, I will just continue to talk about it. So you should know that by now. But I have a strong feeling about this because it takes me out of the moment. These men who are world-class athletes, who are very prideful men, are standing there. I know, again, I understand this is pro wrestling. But again, that strengthens my argument, not somebody who's trying to argue for the men just taking the slaps from the women, because it's a very controlled, pre-planned environment. So these prideful men, these prideful characters are supposed to stand there, and just because you're a woman, that's the kryptonite. Oh, well, okay. You want to hit me with a chair? No, okay. You want to hit me with the brass knucks? Okay. You want to hit me in the nuts? Yeah, well, okay, that's fine. You're a woman, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead. Just checking. The hell with that shit. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it because I've been seeing this for years. No one else seems to care about it. I do, because it's a massive take me out of the moment type of dynamic in WWE that just they refuse to do otherwise. And I don't want to hear about Randy Orton RKOing Nia Jax several years ago. Or even, I know Baron Corbin. I think Baron Corbin actually attacked Becky Lynch, if I'm not mistaken, in that tag team match with many years ago. I think it was like 6-7 years ago, with Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I'm pretty sure Baron Corbin actually attacks Becky during or after the match. And that's what I think should happen here. I really do. If you get a little heat, on Seth Rollins, that would spike up the heat big time. So I could see that happening. And it should. Yes, it should happen to Becky too. God damn, have some pride. Yeah, I'm cussing a little bit today, guys. I'm fired up. All right, for those of you that are still with me, very interested to hear your thoughts, I'm sure, on the mailbag. That'll be a fun response. I'm confident in that. El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. The match went 10 minutes and 20 seconds with El Grande Americano beating Dragon Lee. And there were a lot of moving parts here with the interference as AJ Styles comes out with the second Americano hid under the ring. Joe Tessitore told Styles where the second Americano was hiding, and Styles got the second one and dumped him over the barricade. And a third one shows up in the timekeeper's area and attacks Styles, and he distracted the ref while the second Americano shoved Lee off the top, and the first one put Lee in the submission finish for the win. And El Grande Americano beats Dragon Lee. I think we can all say it in unison. It was fun. Move on from the multiple El Grande Americano story. Unless there's a new wrinkle they want to add. It was just kind of like juicy fruit gum. It was fun, flavorful for a while, but it faded quick. And that's all there is to it. All right. Backstage, Lyra overheard an argument coming from Bayley's dressing room. She knocked on the door and found Bayley sitting calmly on the couch while she was on her phone. A very nervous, shy, very quaint Valkyria thanked Bayley. She was like shaking, pretty much shaking. To the point of it's like she met her idol and she's 6 years old. And she yelled at Valkyria for barging into her dressing room. And Stephanie Vacour was standing backstage. Okay, so before we get to the next match here with Stephanie Vacour and Kairi Sane, all the progress that Lyra Valkyria made in her promos and finding her identity and all that, that got washed away. Because seeing Lyra cower to Bayley after everything that she did, standing up to Becky Lynch in their, yes, kind of weird and a little bit too long of a program that they went over the last couple months, for all the progress she made, I think it got wiped away here. She cowered. She was like whimpering. It was bad acting. Look, Lyra Valkyria is very good in the ring, but boy, does she need to work on her facial expressions. She emoted too much. She's scared of Bayley. She's cowering to Bayley. This is the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion we're talking about, and she's cowering to Bayley. And look, Bayley's a star, and whatever they're doing with her, I'm still interested to see how it plays out. But you can't have an up-and-coming star, your first Women's Intercontinental Champion, go in there and make her look like, she's a 5-year-old meeting her childhood hero. It was a very weird dynamic that just really, I think, hurt Lyra. But let's continue. So Stephanie Vacour takes on Kairi Sane with Asuka. The match went 12 minutes with Stephanie Vacour beating Kairi Sane as Asuka pulled Sane to the floor. Stephanie went up and hit Sane and Asuka with a crossbody block. And then back in the ring, Stephanie performed the Devil's Kiss on Sane, which is kind of a weird move. But if that move's done correctly and it looks good, I'm on board with it. I've seen some bad takes of that, but this one was executed well. And Stephanie Vacour followed up with an SVB and got the victory. After the match, Asuka was about to enter the ring to confront Vacour, but Io's entrance music stopped her. She ran out, stood between Asuka and Vacour, and Sky and Asuka bickered, and Sky got Asuka to calm down, and a mommy chant broke out, and Asuka exited the ring, and Sky offered Vacour a handshake, which she accepted. So, while, again, Stephanie Vacour beats Kairi Sane, I don't even know, when's the last victory for Kairi Sane? Has Kairi Sane even gotten any kind of promo? Like, on airtime at all since she returned to the company a couple years ago. I mean, I don't think so. But she can still go very well in the ring, and she's an asset to the company. Stephanie Vacour is clearly the one that they have some kind of plans for here. And, you know, the fans do love Vacour, so giving up a lot of offense before beating Sane isn't going to hurt her, especially if she wins the title at this coming PLE here on Saturday, WrestlePalooza. So we had Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They were featured in a promo video, and Reed said that the Usos were known as the best team in the business until now. Reed said, LA Knight and Jimmy would find out what happens when the big dog, or when the dog is off the leash. Not the big dog. Breaker said Jey would have to ask himself where he goes next after they take out Knight and his brother. So we have more backstage Sane and Asuka. Sane was holding back Asuka while she was yelling at EO. And I mean, Sane looked mentally and physically exhausted, but she followed when Asuka yelled for her, like the good little lapdog that Kairi is. So, yeah. I mean, there was just too many segments for this Kairi Sane and Asuka and Io Sky. I mean, it's a lot of kind of rinse and repeat. There's very little progress. You're seeing Rhea Ripley kind of be injected into this to kind of take sides, and Io could win the women's championship, but right now you're waiting for Asuka to, drop the other foot and turn, and it's kind of there's a lot of things going on, and I don't know where they're going to land. I mean, you could have Kairi, who's the lapdog for Asuka, kind of just, when she says bark, she's like, how loud and how high do you want me to jump? And yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Kind of that kind of subservience to Asuka. And Kairi, if they want to have her break out and turn on Asuka, yay. See what you can do with Kairi Sane. That could be maybe where they're going. All right. Then we have Rusev show up and challenge Dom, or say he's going to be the next Intercontinental Champion, which is interesting. I mean, at least Rusev, with the victory over Sheamus, WWE does have some kind of plan for him. And that's what I was hoping coming out of the Rusev-Sheamus final match at the last PLE is, okay, this is going to be fun. It's going to be a extremely physical matchup, which it was, and it delivered. Credit to both men. I was hoping that something would come out of this for the winner, and we are seeing that manifest, which is good. All right. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed take on LA Knight and Jimmy Uso in the main event. This went 12 minutes and 5 seconds, with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed beating LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. The finish was Jimmy spearing Reed. He went up top. Breaker hits Knight on the floor with a flying shoulder tackle. Jimmy kicked Breaker off the apron, and then Bronson Reed pulled Jimmy off the ropes and hit him with a jagged edge before pinning him. So Jimmy takes the loss here. And after the match, Reed held Jimmy while Breaker ran the ropes and speared him. And then Jey Uso ran out with a chair. He hit Breaker at ringside, comes in the ring. Reed swatted the chair out of his hands. He threw some punches at Reed and then picked up the chair and beat him down with it. And LA Knight comes out and grabs the chair. Jey turned around and sees Knight holding the chair, but Knight tossed it down. He offered a handshake. Knight accepted, and then Jey was dropped with a BFT. Which makes sense. I mean, you got to remember, Jey Uso speared Knight last week or the week before. So Jey's getting his receipt. This is not LA Knight turning heel. I've seen some of that floating out there. That's not what's happening here. LA Knight is simply getting his receipt. He's returning the favor. That's all that's happening here. We don't know who Jey Uso was talking to on the phone. I still am of the belief that Jey Uso is not turning heel for several reasons that I've laid out in my week in review and other shows. And I don't believe this is, as I said, LA Knight turning heel in any capacity whatsoever. There's no need to turn any of these men heel, especially with Roman Reigns likely around the corner again to grace us with his presence. It's possible at WrestlePalooza he shows up. There's your potential big return. And would you not want Roman Reigns on the first PLE of the ESPN? I know he's not in a booked match, but having him appear in some capacity, I mean, WWE does this rightfully so. when they are getting, when they have their first show on a new network or a new platform, you try to put your best foot forward. So I do expect, another kind of spoiler, Roman Reigns in some capacity to show up at WrestlePalooza this Saturday. So beware of that if you are looking out for a potential Roman Reigns return. I think there is a solid chance that he does this coming Saturday. And like I said, guys, don't forget, I'll be out of town. And if I can record anything, I will not have my regular mic with me. I'm bringing my laptop for where I'm going. So I perhaps can record quick snippets here and there. That way you can get some kind of reaction. I might do a video to Patreon or video to TikTok or a video to YouTube. Get my reaction, especially with likely what is going to be a very newsworthy and big night for WWE at WrestlePalooza, which I hope, by the way, they never use that name again for a PLE. It's not quite Great Balls of Fire bad, but it's bad. It sounds cheesy. It's like a 12-year-old came up with it, or ChatGPT came up with it. So I hope it's not like an annual thing. Oh, WrestlePalooza 2 or this year's WrestlePalooza. It's all just subjective stuff, but there's my opinion. Very outward opinion tonight. I apologize for the cursing. If you have kids, I should have probably warned you, but I was feeling it in the moment. I hope you'll forgive me. Not for my opinions, but for the cursing. If you had people in the car, or if you had people listening while and I'm not in earbuds, or if I'm in on a speaker in your kitchen or something. So I do apologize, but there it is. Always giving it to you straight. If you guys want to send in your questions or reactions to anything I've said or get your opinions in here, you can send it to mailbag@wwepodcast.com, or you can go and directly message me on Patreon. Patrons do get priority placement in the show of the mailbag, so you don't have to wait to hear your question answered. It'll get answered right up front. So there you go. So, all right, that's it for me. I'll be back in a day or two with the official WrestlePalooza preview and prediction show. And that's it. Consider going to patreon.com/WWE podcast if you want to go ad-free and remove all these ads that you're hearing right now. Good place, or Apple as well, Apple Podcasts. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.